ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि हृदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्वामृतमेतदेव गोविन्द दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। So we were in the 11th shloka or 11th verse of second chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः. So in response to what Arjun said in the whole of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagwan gave two immediate shock treatment to Arjun that stand up, don't behave like a eunuch and all. Bhagwan starts his statement of giving knowledge to Arjun here. The first statement itself of Bhagwan is so deep and profound that in the first statement itself actually he is giving the whole logic why you should not have been doing what you did in the whole of first chapter, crying like and grieving upon your relatives Bhishma, Drona and all those people. Why? Now the way Vedanta works is Vedanta works in a particular manner. It will give you first one promise statement or pledge statement. It's called pratigna. Okay? So the first shlok, 11 number shlok is pratigna. What Bhagwan is giving, why he should not be grieving. The second shloka is actually called hetu. The reason of the why he has given the pledge, why you should not do what he told you in the last shloka. That's hetu. That reason is in the shlok number 12. And then he will follow that with something called drishtant. Drishtant is called example. Now, to make any student understand, you have to first give him the actual logic. That logic you have to give why, you have said what you have said, the reason behind why you should not act like that as a reason, hetu. And then for that student to understand it well, you have to definitely support that with an example. This is how whole Upanishad goes like that. So you should read this shloka like that. The 11th shloka is the pledge statement of Bhagwan, what he wants to say. The 12th is actually the reason why he is saying that. And 13 is going to be an example why he should be doing like that. So Bhagwan uses in the shloka, Ashochan anvashochastvam. Arjun, what's wrong with you? You are grieving on those people who ought not to be grieved upon. That means Ashochan anvashochastvam. You should not be grieving upon them. The reason and all, I'll come back to that point. And he says, first you are grieving on those people who you should not be grieving upon. And then you are doing what? Prajna vadamscha bhashase. You are talking like the most intellectual man available on the earth. What are you doing? You are talking like the most intelligent man and you are grieving upon those who don't need to be grieved upon at all, who ought not to be grieved upon. Then he uses in the next line, Gata soon, agata soonscha. Gata soon means those people who have lost their lives. Asoon means prana. So the word is like Gata asoon. Gata asoon means for those people who have lost their lives. Their life has gone. Prana is gone. So it's called Gata asoon. Agata soon. And those people who are yet living, whose prana is not gone means who are not dead, who are living right now. Agata soonscha. Na anushochanti panditaha. A wise man, an intellectual man, doesn't grieve upon either of them. See, when we talk about shok or sorrow, the shok is only for two people. Either the people who are gone or the people who are living. Okay? It's true. Sorrow is always for that. Why is the sorrow for the people who are gone? Oh, I could have done something to save them, protect them. I could have been better in my life. There are many reasons for sorrow. Or, maybe probably they could have lived a little longer. There are many kinds of sorrows which are there for the people who are gone. And for the people who are here, why do you have a sorrow? Worry. Probably he or she could have been better than what they are today. And many times parents say, if the child is not good at studies and all, so there's a statement which many parents say, I don't know what is this guy going to do afterwards. After we go, what is going to happen to his or her life? So we are worried for their future. For the people who are living, now there is not a third thing on which you can sorrow. Think over it. Sorrow can only be for these two. Either the people who have gone or the people who are living. Now when you see here Bhagwan is talking about prana, for the people who have lost life or the people who are living. Because Arjun's grief is about Bhishma, Drona and all the other people he is talking about. But if I take the extract of spirituality in a little bit, you just see here that even you relate that to things also. The things we want to possess or the things we have lost. Okay? Sorrow is always for the thing either which is there, we have lost already, or the thing which is in our hand. Oh, I do not know how long I will be able to have that thing with me. So you can relate that to people also. You can relate that to thing also. When I say thing, there are many things which we talk about in life. It goes for even the post we have. I told you about the Google layoff example in the last session only. Okay, the post, the kind of setup I have in the society, the kind of name I have got in the society, the kind of wealth I have got, you can relate it to anything. Even the worry for wealth is either for the wealth which is gone or the wealth which is there to protect that it doesn't go. You talk about anything in this world, the sorrow is only for two things. Either the thing which is gone, because I don't know why it went. I tried my best to save it, but it still went away. Whether you talk about now the situation happening with Adani or whatever XYZ, either things will go or things will remain. You try to run after them. But see, the point in life is very clear. The grief or sorrow is only for two things. Two things or people you call about. People or things which are gone or the people or things which are there so that it doesn't end up going. Because we have our liking attached to it. We have made an impression in our life that this is what is required for our happiness. You see, even a relation, which you call sambandh, when a relation starts giving you sorrow, you want to end that relationship. Why? Because we are focused on our happiness. So I'll give you one example which Pujya Gurudev and Pujya Guruji gives. They say that, people marry also for happiness, people divorce also for happiness. It's a truth of life. Why? Because that started hindering my happiness. The moment something starts hindering my happiness, the first thing I want is move away. Why? Because for everyone, their happiness is the first subject. There are some Vedantic declarations which I will tell you as we move along. Bhagwan will also say. But the truth of life is little bit different than what we have understood till now. Now the point we need to understand is, these kind of things, Bhagwan says, na anushochanti panditaha. Who is a pandit according to Bhagwan, or who is an intellectual according to Bhagwan? Now this is the definition Bhagwan gives. What we have understood as people with intellect or intellectual people, or we have these debates going on, what we call it in Hindi, buddhijeevi. This is a word which we keep hearing, that there is an intellectual debate going on in the news channel or things. But when you see them, we don't see any intellect in those people at all, the way they are discussing, because they are only proving their point. See, listen to me very carefully here. Proving a point is very different than understanding the truth. When you move away from proving a point, then only you will make yourself available to understand the truth. Sometimes when the proving a point is so heavy on our intellect, we are blocking our intellect to grasp the truth. Because I want to live with my opinion. And the moment somebody starts cutting my opinion, I'll start fighting. I'll start debating. Because I have already formed it, and I have made sure that, nobody, changes this opinion at all. So, intellectual, Bhagwan says, here, the definition of intellectual is not a degree, is not a position. He says, I will call Pandit only that person who don't grieve upon the things or people who are here and the things or people who have gone.
Sir, isn't that almost impossible?
It is not impossible.
आपने अभी जैसे बोला that sorrow होता है, जैसा आपने people का बोला. Now my happiness will depend on someone's existence. For example, there is a special person in my life, like my mom. If she's there, her life, जैसे if she's living, that impacts my happiness.
Definitely.
Now,
just hold your question because it's getting recorded. I'll answer your question at the end of the class. Because there's a recording which goes on podcast. No? So that's why. I'll answer your question. Very good question though. So, Bhagwan is saying, I will call a Pandit or an intellectual only that person who doesn't na anushochanti. Who on the gatasun also, agatasun also. He doesn't have sorrow at all. So then a logical question may come into our mind. Maybe he is a person who has never come across a sorrow. Right? There could be people like that. He doesn't grieve because he has not come across a situation where he has to do a sorrow. Or the other three conditions which we may grasp from this shloka, which I brought out last time, I'm bringing it up again here, that a person is stone-hearted, he doesn't bother about anyone. That person also doesn't grieve on the people living or gone also. There are people like that. There is also one example. The second kind of people is that there are some people who are indifferent to anything in life, anything in the world. Unless and until it hits them, they are indifferent. If something hits them directly, they'll start reacting to that. So there are people who are indifferent also. The third kind of people who are actually, who don't grieve upon those people is that, he is extremely selfish. Nothing bothers him. If it impacts me, it's okay. Otherwise, get lost, I don't care. There are people like that. So maybe is Bhagwan talking about such person? Bhagwan can't call such people as Pandit here. Right? So, yes, when you see a person with knowledge or, Atma Jnani, you will see that there are portions which match with a person who is selfish also. Jnani is also indifferent. But remember, he is not cruel-hearted at all. A Jnani is not cruel-hearted at all. Why? Because for a Jnani, actually, everything in this world matters. He feels for the people around. He feels for the world around him. So it cannot be like that Bhagwan is calling an indifferent person, a selfish person, or a person who is so cruel at heart, stone-hearted at heart. Bhagwan can't be qualifying here for a Pandit. So, but yes, when a Jnani becomes a Jnani, yes, that thing happens that he has got indifference. But remember, as far as and as long as you are living in this body, as far as and as long as you are living in this body, you cannot avoid feeling for people. That's the part and parcel of this body. You will feel for your people. You will feel for worry for all those things. Then what is he talking about here? The meaning here is that while externally in your behavior, I'm using the word again, externally in your behavior, you may feel for the people, you may help people, you may let people grow also, but inside your head, you are completely free. Pujya Gurudev used one word here. Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanand ji used one word here. It's called relationless relationship. Amma is nodding the head, so she must have heard it from Pujya Gurudev. It's called relationless relationship. You have a relation at a level of your body, at the level of your, role what you are playing, you have a relation. For example, one example I can give you straight away here is that you see, cinemas. The actors, become husband and wife with so many different people. But they, after the film, they don't run after that person. Unless and until they have something to do with that person, they will not. Because they understand it very well, it's a role. In the same way, in our role, an Atma Jnani Bhagwan is talking about here, he acts very well. He will be the most concerned, you see, but internally he is not impacted at all. Because then, and I'll go to the Bhashya now, what he's explaining here. Bhagwan Shankaracharya explains here, na shochya ashochya. He'll pick up every word to explain. Those people who ought not to be grieved upon are called as ashochya here in this shloka. He says, who is Bhagwan referring to? Bhishma, Drona, Adayaha. Bhishma, Drona, etc. on which Arjun has cried before. Then a natural question should come, why do you think I should not grieve upon Bhishma and Drona and all these people? Then he uses two words here, which we need to understand. He says, Sadvrittatvad. Arjun, what's wrong with you? You see their life, how they have lived their life. They had lived such a beautiful life. They have lived a life of proper and good character. They have lived a life of punya. They have done so many merits in their life. Why do you think they will go down from where they are? They are eligible for getting promoted to the next level. So the meaning here, Sadvrittatva, is that, they are going to get a better life after this. If somebody is going to get a promotion along with transfer, why should you grieve upon that person moving out? It's a word I'm using here because those are the words we can easily understand in the world. This man is going to get a promotional transfer. Why are you grieving on him? Because his life has been always good character. He's always done good, thought good about everyone. Only one place where Bhishma also knew that he did a mistake was the Ambalika one, where he kidnapped. And that episode haunted Bhishma for a long period of time, by the way. When he kidnapped her, and she said, I'm already in love with, Shalva, king of Shalva. I want to marry him. So Bhishma said, go. When she went there, Shalva said, I'm sorry, you have been kidnapped by someone. I will not accept you now. She came back. Now Vichitra Virya, for whose marriage Bhishma kidnapped her also, the other two also, Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. Vichitra Virya said, she has somebody else in her heart. How can I marry her? He also refused to marry. So now Amba said, nothing doing. You kidnap me, you marry me now. Bhishma said, I'm sorry. I am bound by my vow. So if you were bound by your vow, you should not have kidnapped. You knew that this thing can happen, right? Now I don't care, you marry me. Bhishma said, I cannot do it. I am bound by my vow which has already been given, the promise I have given. She decided that she went back. She went to many rishis. This she said, kill Bhishma. She went to many kings. He said, what are you talking about? It's Bhishma Pitama. He's not a normal man. We cannot kill him. So they said, who should I go to punish Bhishma Pitama? He said, the only person who can punish Bhishma Pitama is Parshuramji, who taught Bhishma Pitama the whole, warfare and all those things. So she went to Parshuramji. Parshuramji said, what happened? Parshuramji listened to the whole story of Amba. And he also felt, now you see, I'm using the word he also felt. He also felt there was wrong on the part of Bhishma. He went to Bhishma and said, I also feel Amba is right. You should marry her. Bhishma said, what are you talking about? I can't. I'm explaining you, I cannot. She said, then you should not have kidnapped her. So he said, nothing can happen. So he said, because I have given a word to that girl, Amba, Parshuram said, I challenge you to fight with me. Bhishma Pitama and Parshuramji fought a battle for many, many days. You read Mahabharata, is so clearly mentioned. They fought for many, many days. Devatas had to come and intervene. Said, what are you doing? Both of you. Parshuramji is Parshuramji, Bhishma Pitama is Bhishma Pitama. The war will continue, it will never end. And they said, leave that part. At that time, Parshuramji took a vow that now I take a vow that I will not train any Kshatriya ever in my life. I only teach Brahmanas. That is how Dronacharya became the Shishya of Parshuramji. Mahabharata itself in it is so beautiful. So that's the only mistake in the life of Bhishma Pitama which he apologized. He said, tell me what I could do except marrying you. I am ready to take care of you, but I cannot marry you. She refused. Then she went back, did a tapas, born as Shikhandi, and she came to kill Bhishma Pitama. See how the thing goes. The hatred also, when we keep in the heart, it is a problem for us only. Because sometime or the other, we will only have to come back to, take care of that. That's the problem. I'm telling you honestly. Raga and Dvesha, trust me, both of them are a big problem in itself. Rag is not such a problem as the problem Dvesha is. Because Rag will be there unless and until it's a Tivra Rag, but it's not a very strong attachment. It won't go traverse from lives to lives. But Dvesha, sorry, it remains with us forever. Imagine, many people cannot sleep because of their Dvesha. Whenever somebody comes in there, they wake up, oh, I'm so angry and all those things. You see, and there are so many movies made on this that life after life, generation after generation, somebody has kept the enmity. What a waste of life it is. You could grow so easily. Why you have to keep enmity like that? Life after life to be born only to just fight that out. So, here, he says Bhishma, Drona, both of them, Adaya means other people also, their life has been so good, so they cannot fall back from a human life to a down life. They will only grow. So, because of that reason, they don't need to be grieved upon. The first reason he gives. Then he gives the next reason, Paramartha Rupena cha Nityatvad. Now, this is a point we need to understand. In the actual form, in the true form, none of us are going to lose ourselves ever. I'm using the word ourselves. I'm not talking about the body. Body is only an identification of us. It's only an address. It's a home for us. Like home is not permanent, in the same way body is not permanent for any jiva. So, because jiva transfers from one body to another body, travels from one life to another life, so that's why there is one term which is attached to it. It's called Pravahi Nitya. It's a floating reality. Okay? Pravahi Nitya means it keeps flowing from one body to another body to another. I do not know how many lives we have been moving on. So, because in the truth form, in the actual form, Paramartha Rupen, in the supreme truth form, we are all Pravahi Nitya. There is no end to us. So then, because of these two reasons, they ought not to be grieved upon. That's what he's saying here. He says, Tan Ashochan Anvashocha. and you are grieving upon those people who ought not to be grieved upon. And what are you doing? Anushochitavan asite mriyante man nihitam aham taihi vinabhuta kim karishyami rajya sukhadinaiti. And you are talking and crying like a kid and saying, they are going to die from my hand. This is what Arjun used in the first chapter. They are all going to die from my hand. And what will I do living here and enjoying this happiness and kingdom without them? This is the logic he gave in the first chapter. So, since in the Sadrupatvad, because they have done good deeds in their life, they are not going to go down, they are only going to get promoted into a better life. And also in the truth form, we are all a Pravahi Nitya, we are all a floating reality. So, nobody dies. I'll use one word here. Again, Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji. Every body dies, nobody dies. Understood? I'm using, see, it's written together, but I'm using it separately for a purpose. Every body dies, but nobody dies. That's the statement that Bhagavan is giving here. That's the point here. He's saying, and then what are you doing? You are grieving upon people who ought not to be grieved upon. Tvam prajnavadan. And you are talking as if you are the most intellectual person available with all understanding of spiritual matters in this world. You are debating with me, giving me arguments after argument, why you are right and we should not fight. You have given me enough logics behind it, Arjun, in the first chapter. What are you doing? You are talking as if you are the most intellectual man available. Prajnavatam, buddhimatam vadan. Prajnavan, as he means the one who has got a lot of memory and intellect. Okay? So actually, there is a point which I will use here. Memory and intellect is a point which we keep looking at people. What will happen with memory and intellect? You can remember many things. There is a good side to it also, there is a bad side to it also. The one who has got very good memory, there is a problem if he or she doesn't take care, he'll pick up every wrong things and also deposit here in the memory. I told you in one of the sessions, the problem is we have been taught well to keep storing things in the memory, but we have not been taught how to delete it from our memory. And what happens when the good things come, our intellect returns an error. Sorry, not enough memory available to store file. It's gone, done. Because nobody taught us anywhere how to delete things. Actually, bad things are not supposed to be kept also. Even if somebody does wrong karma also towards you, see, there are two ways. One is that immediately react and move on. The problem happens is we don't react and we keep the anger within us. And it keeps boiling in us. Arey bhai, might as well react and move on. It would have been so easy for you. That's immaterial, the reaction is right or wrong. That person also would have felt that he or she hurt you, so you reacted. But the problem happens, we don't react because we want to prove that we are very good, very cultured. And then the problem is we keep in our mind, one day I will teach. That one day is a big problem because you have to store it in your memory. So he says here, prajnavatam, buddhimatam vadan, you are talking as if you are very intellectual. Well, and all your arguments you are giving is like you are very educated, you have studied very well. And I told you last time, when you talk about intellectual here, one is that degree makes you intelligent. I told you what Swami Shivananji told. Just because you have a degree and you know how to read and write, barely makes you, what did I say? Literate. Forget about being educated. And we feel what? The degree, certificate and all these are our education. We start displaying them, we start putting them, we start decorating them. But trust me, none of them is the word I'm using. Whether you call any stream of education in this world, none of them will teach you how to manage your own sorrow, how to manage your own anger. You will have to come here. Everything, all of us may have degree. Some people are PhDs, double PhDs also. I'm not putting down, but I'm telling you that's not going to teach you how to manage your life. Management of life is taught here. That is the reason I was telling you last time that unfortunately this should come before our elementary education and school education. After this, if you go for work or anything, or you go for family also, grahast life also, life becomes very easy. Because you know how to manage yourself. The problem is managing ourselves only. Rest of the things तो will get managed. Don't worry about that. वो तो किसी ना किसी तरह हो ही जाएगा. Situation ही manage कर देगा.
We are on the 11th shloka.
11th shloka, yes. Are you reading Shankar Bhashya?
No.
No, sir, you are not reading Shankar. I am reading Shankaracharya Bhashya. So he says, Tad etad maudhyam pandityam cha viruddham atmani darshayasi unmatta iva iti abhipraya. So why did he bring prajna vadans cha bhasa? In one person, you are showing both being foolish also and intelligent also in one person only. How can one person be foolish and intelligent at the same time? So you are talking like a mad person. Unmatta iva. Shankaracharya says, Bhagwan wants to bring out you like mad, you are crying like a mad person who doesn't know what he is talking also. Then he says, then he explains Yasmad Gatasun, which I have already explained. He uses one word here. Gatasun I have already explained, the one who's lost, whose life is gone. Gatasun, who's living right now. He says, Na anushochanti panditaha atmagyaha. He used one word, Shankaracharya, to explain. Bhagwan uses the word pandit here for only people who know self-knowledge. Listen to me very carefully here. Self-knowledge, knowing there is a self, is different from having a firm belief there is a self, is different from having an experience of self. Many people know about God. I will tell you, so many people know about God. But how much your belief is in God? Do you have an experience of God yet? Experience of God is different from knowing God and worshipping God. Remember, being devoted to God and worshipping God is only a path to experiencing God. He is ever available, omnipresent. In this room also, He is more available than us. But it is very different than actually experiencing God. Experiencing God is that, sote jagte aapko mehsoos ho ki He is with me. That's the experience called God. Anyway. So he says, now he explains the word panda. Panda atma vishaya buddhihi yesham tehi panditaha. And he quotes one scripture here, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. He quotes one, says, Pandityam nirvidya. He explains the word here. He says, who Bhagwan is calling panda? The one who has formed an intellect, very clear intellect, with, I'll use one word here, it may be new for many people. It's called, in Sanskrit, called prama. Prama is a word which says, when the knowledge becomes firm inside you and there is nothing which shakes you from that knowledge, it's called prama. It's a firm knowledge. It's called prama. So he says, when that subject of the self, the knowledge about the self becomes your prama, prama means you don't forget, in any state of yours. Which are the states? I'll come, Bhagwan only will explain at that time, I'll explain you that. So he says, one who has formed this firm intellect, firm understanding of the self, Bhagwan is calling them pandita. And he says, Pandityam nirvidya. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad quotes this quote here. Said, that is the only thing which needs to be accumulated in this world, in this life. And says, Parmarthatahatu nityan ashocyan anushochasi ato mudha asi iti abhipraya. Because in the true real form, they are not, they are ever present, going to be present here. That's why they ought not to be grieved upon. And this Bhagwan is going to explain. Then Arjun may ask, you are giving me such a statement and you are calling me Mudha. I am not a Pandit, I am not intellectual, I am talking like an intellectual. Bhagwan, why they are Nitya? Can you explain? That's what Bhagwan is going to explain in the next shloka, which is 2.12. Kutate ashocyaha, he uses the word. Why they ought not to be grieved upon? Yato nityaha, you are saying they are all ever present. What is that point? That Bhagwan explains in 2.12. He says, Natve vaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param नत्वेवाहं जातु नासं नत्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे vayamatav param. Bhagwan here picks up three kind of people here. He says, Natu eva aham tvam ime janadipaha. Neither you nor me nor these people who are standing here are ever going to be not there. That means they are always present here. Present here means, now I want to tell you one thing here. You know, we all go into one state called deep sleep. Okay, there are three states which I'll explain you here. Waking, dream and deep sleep. Okay, these three states all of us are aware of. Or I hope so, and I guess so. All of us have deep sleep. I don't want to say, hopes or anything. So, waking state is the state when we transact with the world. Okay? It's an exhaustion of our own karma phala which we have inherited in the past lives. That's called waking state. Where the experience is little gross. I will use the word gross because we are seeing all the gross forms here. Then comes the second state called a dream state. Dream state is also a state of exhaustion of your karma phala. There are certain fruits of your action which doesn't need to give you gross fruit. It needs to give you subtle fruit. Okay? It's your action only which is going to give you fruit. So, for example, there are some people, they say, and I'm only explaining, dreams about it. Some people, somebody is sweating in the sleep, he's dreaming and somebody woke up. Thank God you woke up. I was about to die. Where? In the dream state. So that means there are death-like experiences also which doesn't need to be in a grosser form. They come and express themselves and give us the fruit in the dream state. God has created a state called dream state. But remember, dream state is not a sleeping state at all yet. Then there is a third state which we call deep sleep. उसको हम ना संस्कृत में यूज करते हैं word सुषुप्ति. Okay, सुषुप्ति is the word. तो जागृत, स्वप्न, सुषुप्ति. Okay, these three states are given to everybody. And what happens in sushupti? Can anybody explain what happens in sushupti? What happens in deep sleep state? Anybody? All of you have experienced. I'm not talking a new thing at all. All of you have experienced. Can somebody explain deep sleep? What happens in deep sleep?
You are dead.
Huh?
It's death-like experience. Subconscious.
It's not. Huh? Sorry. Subconscious. Anybody else?
It's where we are at peace.
Good point. Hold on to that point. I'll come to that point. Peace is a result of that. It's a state. I'll use Tattva Bodh as a text to explain you. Aham kimapi na janami sukhena maya nidra anubhuyate. This is the expression when we come back from deep sleep. Na, I don't know what happened. I was not there. This is the state we say. Okay? But I have a feeling that I slept very well. If you were not there, who felt that you slept well? See, Vedanta is a little deep science also that way. How much amount of external work you do, how much amount of workaholic you may be. But everybody I'm giving you an example, not as a comparison, from Mukesh Ambani to a beggar on the street, they are all working for a deep sleep in the night. Let me say it very clearly. Because that's such a beautiful arrangement of God that irrespective of your karma, irrespective of the kind of fruit of actions you are supposed to inherit or get, God has given you such a proper way for you to experience peace at one state. That's one state where you experience. That's the reason I said hold on to your statement. That's a state where you experience complete peace. Now, if somebody doesn't get deep sleep for a couple of days, now only a person who has not got can explain it. But I can explain you why, because I've got people who have come to me with that. People start becoming mad. Because that's the time when your mind, intellect goes into a complete zero form and rests without any knowledge at all. All the knowledge also goes to sleep. Whatever you have, person who is a PhD also, maybe at any position, when they go into sleep, nothing exists. Now the point comes, which I want you to think over at a later point in time when you go back. What happens to the world in your deep sleep? What happens to your relations in the deep sleep?
He's dead to everything.
That means, which brings us another point. We don't need anything to experience peace and happiness. No relation,
They carry
no
on
world.
irrespective of whether we are there or not.
But for you, I'm talking about your standpoint. For me, it doesn't exist at that time.
Yes.
Right? So that means I can experience peace and I can experience happiness without the world, without the relation, without the objects, without anything in this world. That's the kind of beautiful arrangement Bhagavan has given. Hold on to that, I'll come to that point in the next shloka also. Here Bhagavan says, Arjun, natu eva, never ever, jatu, never ever, was a time when I was not there, aham, tvam, neither you were not there, na ime janadipaha. These people who are standing in front, whom you are grieving upon, there was never a time when they were never there. That means they were ever present. Okay. Then he says, na cha eva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. Even after this means after this life, when we go from here, there is never a point in time these people, you and me, will not be there. That means I am also ever present. That's why I said the word jiva is a pravahi nitya. It's a floating reality. Only thing which drops here is this body, but not me. Now let me just come back to that point of deep sleep. Why we are not scared of deep sleep, but we are scared of death? Because we have proved that deep sleep is only a temporary phase. I am going to wake up tomorrow. I am very sure about it. What made it sure? It's our own experience and my own practice. I am doing it every day since childhood. So that's proven with practice and my experience that after deep sleep, I will get up. See, whether somebody gets up or not, that's a different subject. I'm not coming to that point. But I'm saying every day since I am getting up after deep sleep, so I know that tomorrow also I'll get up. That's why I don't fear while going to the sleep. If I would know that there could be a possibility that I may not get up, many people will hold on to the other two states. I don't want to go to sleep. I don't want to, go to any other state at all. The reason why we even are relaxingly go into that sleep mode is because we know I'll get up tomorrow. Okay? But what happens with death? And it's a pratyaksh. From pratyaksh means it's all our experience, that deep sleep. What happens to death? I have heard that I am permanent and all those things. But I don't know yet. I don't know what is going to happen after death. That's why, since it is not our matter of our experience, it's not a matter of our practice, we always worry about death. That is the fear of death which is prevailing about everybody. And I told you in one of the sessions here only, remember, death is only notional, it's not real. That doesn't mean don't grieve in terms of your own relation. Do grieve. I'm saying, but know this fact in head very well, that they also have a journey. That's why in our Sanatan Dharma, we pray after they leave. Why? So that they have something called Sadgati. Because we are not privy to what actions they did in their life. Whether they have earned Sadgati or not also we do not know. Some people, though, when we see, we are worried what is going to happen to them. The kind of act some people are doing, I don't even want to talk about it. Sadgati to chodo, Durgati bhi kahan jayegi, I don't even know. So here, the only thing is that focus on your intentional clarity, intentional purity, focus on doing good karma, leave the rest. वो क्या बोला था मैं आपको? Do your best and leave the rest. But वही है कि we are not focused on doing our best. और बाकी we start thinking about the other life and all those kind of things. Bhishma Pitama had got a very good life. Very good life. He has done everything good only in his life. Except that one thing which just happened. That also happened because of the kingdom only. His vow towards the kingdom. But otherwise he's done everything very good. So why are we worried about these things? He says, it's never going to happen that, these people or you are not going to be there. Arjun, so why worry? Don't grieve upon them. So Bhagavan gave the reason why he was talking about in the previous shloka that all of them doesn't ought to be grieved upon at all. Now he gives next as an example. He gives an example. He says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. Hey Arjun, Yatha asmin dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. Like we all experience 3 states in our body. We have gone through childhood, kaumaram. Yauvanam, we have gone through youthhood, and jara, we may be going into old age also. Okay? So that like a person goes through these 3 states, but he doesn't grieve, oh, my childhood is gone, oh, my youthhood is gone. Some may grieve, I'm not talking about some. I'm not coming to that point. So, I didn't mean to bring that. I'm talking not about exceptional people here. Some may grieve.
Everybody grieves on whether you accepted or not, everybody grieves on that.
But at the end, they all come to the acceptance that, grieving or non-grieving, it's going to happen, right? It has to come through. So accept the reality and move on. So he says, why we don't grieve upon that when the one stage goes from childhood we come into youthhood, and from youthhood we go into old age. Why most of the people don't grieve? Because they know that I am the same. I am the same who was in the childhood also. I means the myself. Myself is the same which was there in the childhood also. Myself is the same in the youthhood also. Myself is going to be the same in the old age also. What is going to go through transformation is the body. And remember, whatever has come into existence, you may push whatever, but you cannot stop it going through change. And I'll use one word again, Puja Gurudev, Swami Chinmayananji said very beautifully, change is the only changeless law of nature. It's the only changeless law of nature. Change. Nobody can stop change. Somebody may be at whichever position, somebody may be at whichever job, nothing of those things are permanent. One day you will have to step down. And the same way goes for the body also. It's not about 3 stages, Bhagavan said. One day we also have to step down from this body. That's stepping down. But yes, what happens, why we fear? We don't know what happens to us after death. Nobody has stopped by to come back and tell. Good that they have not stopped by. Otherwise, we may be running saying, Bhoot aa gaya, Pret aa gaya and all. Good that they have not come back. We want them to go, which is very true thing. that, we don't want them to come back after dying and, come back and tell us what is the experience like. God has created in this way. Then the thing is that is something which you cannot establish from your experience and practice. What is the proof that there is life after that? You will have to come to scriptures. Then that can be understood only from pramana. Pramana means proof. Proof of knowledge, which we call scripture. Our scriptures are actually pramana for those things which we cannot experience and practice grossly in this world. For all those things, I use the word here, alaukika vishaye vedaha pramanam. For those things, then I'll use one more word, laukika vishaye eva vedaha pramanam. For the things which are in the world and outside the world, Ved is the only proof, document proof, to know what happens after that. So what Bhagavan says here, since the Dehina, he uses one word Dehina here. Dehina means Dehi. Dehi is the word. Dehi means the one who has the body. One who is having the body. The one who is living in the body. Remember, one who is living in the body is different from the body. I never use the, some people may use again, I will not use the word. But we always usually use in common parlance, my body. They don't say me body. That means if it's my body, my cell phone is always different from me. In the same way, my body is always different from me. My book, my pen, all these things are different from me. The moment it says my, differentiate it from yourself. That means if it's my body, then the question should arise, who am I? That question is answered by scripture. See, I use the word, the journey is only from ourself to ourself. Rest, everything is available on Google. You can search everything on Google. The only thing which you can't find on Google is yourself. For that you will have to come here. That is not something which can be available on Google. So, for everything else it is there. So you have to know yourself. Who am I? Then one more question I'll ask you, since I've explained you the three states. These three states he mentioned here, external change, Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara. The other three states which we experience daily is waking, dream and deep sleep. Now I want to ask you, if my mind has gone to sleep and I put an alarm to wake up, who is the one who listens to the alarm? Okay, I'll answer this here only. Remember, even when you go for deep sleep, there is somebody inside you who is awake all the time. Which we call soul in that language, self in different language, Atma in that language. There is some consciousness in another language. All are synonyms of the same name. But remember, there is somebody awake in you who wakes you up when your alarm rings. If you have gone to sleep, how can you listen? Some people say, my sleep is such, even if somebody takes me away also, I don't know. I sell horses and sleep like that. घोड़े बेचकर सोता हूँ बिल्कुल. तो कई लोगों की है sleep ऐसी, but you can't help it. But then they are also woken up by someone. That someone is yourself. That is the self in all of us. He says, Tatha, like in Kaumar, Yauvan and Jara, in the childhood, youthhood and old age, Dehinaha, he passes through this age and he knows he is the same which was there in the past also. Tatha, like that way, Deha antaraha praptihi. Once this Deha reaches the end, antaraha prapti means reaches the end. Once it reaches the end, and Dhira, what happens? He also doesn't change. He just moves from one body and he traverses into a different world and comes back. I'll tell you one thing honestly. A sannyasi who's become a Jivan Mukta sannyasi. Jivan Mukta sannyasi I'm talking about. I'll explain you in Bhagavad Gita only. Bhagavan will talk about him in 55th shloka onwards, of the second chapter only. When he talks about Sthita Prajna. A sannyasi is such a person that, who not only grieves about, doesn't grieve about the people and body and all those things. He doesn't grieve internally also when sattva, rajas or tamas comes, he doesn't grieve because he knows it's different from them. Remember, आत्मा में कोई अशुद्धि नहीं होती. आत्मा हमेशा नित्य शुद्ध है. It's difficult to understand and grasp. देखो, there are deeper meanings around it. Don't worry about it. You will understand as and when it comes. आत्मा में किसी प्रकार की अशुद्धि नहीं होती. तो अशुद्धि किसको होती है? अशुद्धि या मैल जो है, इट्स ओनली फॉर द इंटेलेक्ट और द इनर इक्विपमेंट. उसी के लिए होता है सिर्फ. यू गो. तो अपेरेंटली इसीलिए भगवान यहां पर कहते हैं कि तथा देहांतरः प्राप्ति ही धीरः तत्र न मुह्यति. दैट वन आई विल कॉल ओनली दैट पर्सन धीरः. धीरा मीन्स courageous and strong, ever available, ever ready to fight with all kind of negative situation. I will call only that person Dhira, one who doesn't get deluded by these changes, and he knows very well that I am not going to change, even though these may transform through these changes. It doesn't matter. So these three things, at many places these states are mentioned together. Like they Kaumaram, Yauvanam, Jara, we call it 6 states, deep sleep and all those things together. But remember, like I get up the same how I got up, I slept last night, the same way when I leave this body, I'll get up into a new body the way I have earned my karmas in the past. It doesn't matter what death comes or not. It's a different thing altogether. Death is not something to scare you. The more you get scared with death, the more it will scare you. The more you will start running away from it. See, it's just a state. That's exactly what it's trying to explain you. It's not real at all. It's notional. You are only traversing from one place to another. You are only traveling to another place. Yes, when we travel, we'll know whether we have done good or bad. That's a different story that we'll know only when we reach there. Like somebody sold you a destination to travel. They told you it's very good. But once you reach there, you realize, is this good? It's not up to my standard at all. It's in the same way. But yes, it's your karma, you reach there. Now whether you like it or not, spend time and come back. There are many people who have, spoiled vacation because of this. Somebody recommended without, studying, I went there. But in this yatra, it entirely depends on your karma here, how you are going to traverse into the next one. Remaining we'll take in the next class. Kayena vacha manasendriyairva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi adyat sakalam parasmai narayanaeti samarpayami Shriman Narayanaeti samarpayami. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवा वशिष्यते. ओम शांति 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 ही. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. ओम तत्सत्.